and understandably so. It's been a full-on couple of years now. Putin's waging war in Ukraine, and there's this relentless intensity that seems to follow all the communications on the telly and on social media all the time about problems, new problems every day, and what do we do about them. And truth is, the intensity isn't going to drop off because the news and the algorithms reward it, and so people chase it and they use it as a tool to both engage and distract you. But consistency is what is going to solve the worst, most pressing problems. Consistently engaging with communities and people and bringing them together and bringing them along. So you need to be patient with yourself and make sure you have enough time and space, however you need to get that. And that we're patient with each other because it's full on and people are exhausted, they're emotionally drained, and they're all facing stresses in a million different ways. And we need to try and set good examples of how to look after one another so that we can always lean on our good example, if nothing. Well, people are strung out, and understandably so. It's been a full-on couple of years now. Putin's waging war in Ukraine, and there's this relentless intensity that seems to follow all the communications on the telly and on social media all the time about problems, new problems every day, and what do we do about them. And truth is...
All right, I just realised that's on a repeat. You don't want to hear him twice. It was so smooth. It was so smooth. Sorry, mate, I'll ask you to unmute again. Hey, our very special guest is Reid Jones, and he joins us live this fresh morning. How are you, my man?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Doing sometimes self-affirmations, how you get through the day. So I'm going to go with
That's
that.
right, yeah.
bit tired today. More tired than normal, but I think it'll be a coffee and a fresh water and some fruit kind of day, and I'll be back on the road. But, mate, thanks for joining us nice and early. How do we find you?
Yeah, mate, I'm well. It's been a busy few weeks. I've sort of been all over the place, but it's nice to see your smiling face first thing in the morning. And I have to clear something up. My teeth are 100% real, pal. I've never had anything done to my teeth.
Pull another one. We know you got a tight editing team over there in the back seats. Look at the lighting.
You just make sure you're overexposed, and then everything looks good. That's the trick.
Hey, what have you been busy doing? Everyone would love to know what you do, and if you're not sitting in your chair and you're not home, you must be demanded more than just in your smaller community. What do you get up to?
Yeah, well, look, my day job is to run the Just Be Nice project, and our sort of, I guess, role is to try and help people who are in need and until they're housed, employed, and have good mental health outcomes. And we do that by, I guess, organisations and individuals put their hands up and say, oh, we want to do good, or we want to do good better, we want to have a bigger impact, and we're not quite sure what to do. So we go in, audit them, and then start integrating into their sort of day-to-day work, and that gives us access to resources that we identify, and we use those to help people or work in communities to remove those barriers to housing, employment, and good mental health. And then also on the weekend, I went up to Noosa for a trail run, so I was also away for that, which was not strictly speaking work, but I was away for a couple of days for that as well.
Talk about the auditing process. I'm sure that would be updating each time or each year, something that evolves as the problems pop up, and we're faced with so many different situations out there. If you've got the opportunity to sit there and audit someone, say an organisation, where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about what the outcomes that we're seeking is that the nature of people's challenges is dynamic. It does change, but the outcomes, there's people that are housed, that they're employed, that they have good mental health, they're fixed. So even though circumstances change, we're able to actually build quite a bit of consistency into the way that we do those things, because there's always people who need help getting those outcomes. So the audits always for us start with working out what an organisation is really good at, or what a person is really good at. And you'd be surprised how many people are actually terrible. Individuals are terrible at telling you what they're good at, what their hard skills are. They're really bad.
Have you ever tried to write your own bio? It takes about 9 weeks.
It's horrible. It's the worst. And then when you hear it read out, also terrible. It's so bad.
Spot on.
Roy's a good bloke. That'll do. I can write that.
Check out my Insta. That'll do. Just talk to me later.
That's right.
Sorry, continue on.
Yeah, mate. No, but look, we just start with what people are good at, and then we find ways to integrate those skills. And I think that one of the challenges is that's a rarity in the space of trying to help people. People often go a very heavy emotion first process where someone sees something and upsets them, and then they want to do something rather than what are you really good at, and how do we take that and turn that into an opportunity for someone. Or for a community. And so that's our job, is to coordinate all of those wonderful skills and resources and make sure that we're always looking for more, but that with what we've got, we're able to sort of bounce along and move people along as well.
Where do you think your resource material started collecting to the point where you started thinking that I've got something here to offer? It could be something when you were born. I mean, where did you grow up and start realizing that things aren't right out there? And I think I've got an idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. For me, the question that I've always been trying to answer is just, why don't people get the help that they need when they need it, for as long as they need it, regardless of how they come to need help? Because there are so many people who need a chop out, who need a hand up. And the truth is, at some point in time, we all do. Like we all bounce in and out of modes of needing a little bit of a hand or more of a hand. But why is it that some people just don't get it? And how is it possible that we can just give little bits of help to someone and then not finish the job, like not make sure that they're actually okay? And so I've had that in my focus since I was a little kid. And then everything I've done has always had that as a question, as something to pay attention to. So I don't remember a time when this isn't what I was about. And along the way, you just get, I guess, you develop skills and get better at things, and that helps you, do more as well.
Were you taught this? Like, what kind of environment did you get brought up in?
So, I think I had one of the kinds of childhoods that you can always tell a couple of different versions of, and I'm hesitant to only spruik the difficulties. I grew up in an environment where there was a lot of abuse and drugs and alcohol abuse as well, and we were always, we were poor, very poor, struggled for money, and then it became a single parent household with my mum sort of running the show. And so in that sense, I was exposed to the kinds of challenges that a lot of people face. And, everyone's experience is slightly different. But one of the gifts, I think, of the difficult times was that it sort of, the way I took it was to say, well, if I've had a difficult time and if things have been hard for us, then they must be hard for other people as well. And on top of that, I also had, it wasn't all terrible. I had moments of great love and support. I had literate parents who were very passionate about me trying to learn and always keeping things up to me in that space. And I got to do lots of wonderful things. And in my life, there's just always been enough support and opportunity for me to be able to move to the next thing and give it a crack, or do well in the next thing, despite also the challenges that I experienced personally. And so for me, I think trying to completely eliminate hard times and challenges from people's lives is impossible, because first of all, it's all relative and everyone has a difficult time wherever they are at some point. But what we try to do, and my focus has often been, how do we give people enough support and enough opportunity and enough material advantage to endure or get through whatever that looks like, whatever their difficult time looks like. And I think that you can sort of get through anything if you have the right support, but you also can be buried by very minor things if you don't. So that's always been my focus, and sort of that's fundamental to the way that we do things at JVN as well.
Oh man. Is it important to, and peeps, we've got the chat lines going off. It's great. Lots of people are engaged with you right now, which is your gift, my man. But also, people, please use the chat function to throw some questions Josh, I can see them instantly. Or if you want to SMS me to keep it private, go for it. You know my number. You touched on a few things there, and that's why the chat's going on. We've got some support workers in here going, woohoo, you're putting it so well. What are you doing? This is good. And I think that is one of your strengths, man. You collate it well, and you're on the fly too. This is unscripted. I love it. You're a brilliant communicator. Is it important to repair? This is my own question. Is it important to repair yourself before going out to repair others? I'm going to also edit that later on in my chat because you don't want to sometimes repair. You want to offer resources. You already taught me something, but you know what I'm saying. Some people say fill your own cup before you go others. That could excuse, restrict, discourage people looking out of themselves because there's only so much that I don't know. They can maybe they do need to go repair, but they see so much of themselves in someone else, like you did, like we all do when we have a traumatic experience or we're still going through it. You can see yourself mirrored, or you can see yourself in other people so much that you're like, far out. Are you going through the same as me? Woo! But hang on, I'm unhealthy. But you're lonely, I'm lonely, but we can't help each other because we're bad news together. What do we do?
Yeah, but that is something that comes up all the time, and I think it's particularly an issue when social media, when sort of broadcasting things has become very normal, and there's a few different ways that you can sort of look at it. I think my initial reaction is no, you should be okay before you endeavor to do other things, because it is difficult work when you start to try and help people. And there are some things you can start when you're not ready, and I think it's fine. But I have a real issue with people jumping into this because on the other end of it is a human being, and that's difficult. And so the way that we break up help in one of the simple ways that we break it up at JBN is to say that there's human help and then there's logistical help. So the human help is like people who care, the people who are around you or supporting you. There's this human element to it. And then the logistics is having the things, having the knowledge, having the material sort of resources that you need to move someone from a place where they're experiencing a difficulty or they're challenged or they're going through trauma to a place where they're okay. Unfortunately, what we see in a lot of organizations or even with individuals is that people who have lots of resources and logistics and are able to materially look after people or provide opportunities are often time poor, and so their human help side sort of drops off. And then in communities often where there isn't a whole lot of resources going on, but there's a lot of human support, there's a lot of care. And so we try and connect the two and find that if there's someone who cares about you, but they don't quite know how to help you, that we're able to move you along through a process of getting back on your feet, while this very consistent human help is there, encouraging you, being a support, and sort of holding your hand through that process. And I guess in a medical sense, the way that's easier to understand is if I got cancer, and touch wood, and you're my mate and you're like, oh, it's horrible, I'm going to look after you. You don't have to run off and become an oncologist to help me. And no one says, go and work it out, go and work it out. And no one tells you to guess where we need to go or guess the drugs that I need or guess the support I need or do any of that stuff. But you're going to come with me to Peter Mac. You're going to be my support at Peter Mac. You're going to hold my hand. The nurse is going to come in and do what she does. The oncologist is going to come in and check on things. And so many people are going to come in and out of that process. And it's going to go for maybe 18 months. And there's billions of dollars of hospital infrastructure and medical research and drugs. There's so many professionals that are involved. And so for me, that could be quite a discombobulating experience if I was dealing with it all myself, because I'm also going through the recovery. But because you're there, you're able to smooth that out. You're the consistent piece in all of that. And you still didn't need to learn how to treat cancer. in that time, you'll get opportunities to be like, the doctor will come in, I'm passed out, and he's like, oh, what's going on? And you'll go, look, this last lot has just knocked him for 6. And they'll go, we'll adjust a couple of things. And I wasn't there for that really because I was asleep, but that was part of that support. And you got to give good feedback. That feedback went to someone who knows what to do with it, and that changed the intervention. And so that's how we try and treat help as well. Brene Brown gives a great bit of advice that says, if the reaction of the audience and the sort of response from the audience has anything to do with your healing, you shouldn't be talking about this stuff in public. You should be healed and then be able to talk, because people aren't always kind, and it doesn't always go the way that you want it to go. And if you're not on top of it, then that can be really difficult to deal with. But the other part of it, and I don't mean to make this a super long answer, I apologize, but the other part of it is that wanting to contribute is a really fundamentally human thing. And so people want to contribute about things they care about. And so we want to find ways to help them do that without lumping everyone with the whole burden. And you holding my hand at Peter Mac is a great way for you to have a really valuable contribution. But also, if you wanted to go and become a doctor, you could do that too. It just takes 25 minutes to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a difference. And I think it's just important to know the difference and know where we all sort of stand. And if we got to a point where everyone had access to all the help that they needed, then it would be much easier to just be the human support. But unfortunately, as it stands at the moment, we leave people hanging all the time.
Some of us aren't great at it. Some of us are. Some of us just get it wrong when we thought we're getting it right. But how we help others when they don't want to be helped has been probably something that people wrestle with all the time. And how much do you hold your hand versus intervention you use then?
Yeah.
I think why are we like we are?
There's a lot of pressure because a lot of people, when they talk about helping people, they miss the bit that says it's really hard and it takes ages.
Yeah, a bit of patience.
Takes so long, and consistency matters. It's like training at the gym. A week is not going to do a whole lot. Even if you do the perfect program, a week's not doing a whole lot. 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week for 52 weeks, things will happen. And it's the same with helping people. But the way that a lot of organizations raise money is to tell people that, oh, this is a simple, easy thing that we do, and this works, and this will change someone's life forever. When the truth is, people need lots of consistency. And so don't go for intensity over consistency. If you want to help people, be prepared to just sit in there and take the time to work out where they're at and pick them up from where they are. And if it gets too much for you, just understand that, 1, that's okay, and 2, it's actually also quite normal for challenges to take a while to resolve.
Man, Ripper. Shelley just sent a message to you. Can I just say I can only jump on for a little bit today before she heads off to work, but that was huge for her. So thank you so much, Josh. Have a great day, mate.
Good on you, Shelley.
Yeah. Wow, man. Wow. Broadcasting, social media. How you obviously use it for what you do. It's a great tool. What's the dangers in I guess broadcasting and you want to delete it? You don't. I don't know. It can be really wild out there, and we're getting in a very vicious world. Pretty. I mean, I don't think we understand really what digital footprint means and how many people are at you and the commentary underneath. We've got the last 48 hours has been all about the Oscars, and you jumped on and talked about that. It seems like you see the need to deal with things as well, because the media can just go crazy and people can start getting really affected. Are we in strife, or is it another, hey, let's just train ourselves to build and use social media and we'll be good eventually? Or is it we've got to be really cautious about what we post and how we comment to things and how we respond to things and what we share, and sometimes sometimes things really hit us with whoa, man, that felt good, I'm sharing that, bang, this is what I think, and you don't even know what you think yet. We've all been caught doing it probably, and you're like, it's not even what I think. Facebook memories remind you of that, and you go, far out. Really?
Facebook memories
Man,
are great, aren't they?
I was a little bit racist
Oh yeah, I
7 years
can't believe
ago.
I said that. That's good. No, that's good.
Yeah. How do you see that world of things?
Yeah, I am not. I don't have a like a social media plan that I run to, but I also it's rare for me to jump on something that's just come up and talk about it. Yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever, of the Oscars was an exception because it was something that I have already got, the bones that I'm talking about on the side here, and it was relevant, and I thought, all right, I'll get on and sort of have that chat. But usually I let things go a day or two and think about it. Once I decide I'm going to talk about something, then I do take the time to make sure I'm across what I'm saying, that I have a point of view that I'm comfortable with, that I don't think I'll have to go back and delete. If you look at my feed, I made this commitment to write something every third post on a white square. And so now I have this lovely unbroken line of white squares. So I actually can't delete stuff. I've got to keep it all in there or it'll ruin up the aesthetic.
That's right.
It keeps me honest. I'm telling you, I can't just come out and scream and yell about stuff all the time.
You got to put your white blank in.
Yeah, because there'll be like a little break. It'll be awkward in there. So that was intentional. That was intentional to make me think about
people
what I
are
was
strung
doing,
out.
and also to make me think, like, every third time at least. Like, it can't just be a photo of my dinner. I've got to actually write something. I've got to take the time to think about something worth sharing. So
if you want to know what Josh is talking about,
when I talk about something, I take the time to think about it. But if I'm not talking about it, that's one way to just avoid the challenge of putting up stuff that you're going to regret later on. I think that one of the things that we should have learned through COVID and through the social media use through then as well is that being objectively correct with facts doesn't mean anyone listens or cares, And so we have to get better at just maintaining conversations with people, that just in general. You said earlier, if you don't always agree with Josh, or, it's worth having a look at. And mate, no one always agrees with you. That's the other thing. Like, you can't just follow people that there isn't anyone you always agree with. They don't exist. And people disagree with things for all kinds of weird reasons. And you've just got to be prepared to have a think about it, audit why you think what you think, and you can make adjustments sometimes. You can change it. You can hold your ground. The problem with social media is it's not a great platform for teasing those things out and teasing those ideas out and having those conversations. And so that's where I think it gets a little bit confused, because intensity is rewarded by the algorithm. It's just who's got the hottest, hardest, most visceral take. That one wins, not who's having a good job of communicating and bringing people together and has a bit of a nuanced understanding of a circumstance or looking at it from more than one way. So there are definitely positives and there are definitely negatives. I think it's largely about how we use it and being aware that because intensity wins, that's probably why we all get a little bit amped up by what happens on social media, because it's always just pushing the intensity of everyone's consumption of information up so high that we all feel a little bit on edge.
Yeah, there's a lot of a little bit of intensity is spot on in social media. You don't have to scroll for very long to see someone having a go at someone, and there's 79 comments in 14 minutes. You're like, whoa!
Yeah,
who's it? Who? I don't even know what we're talking about originally. I find I feel like something that I've been trying to personally work on, and I reckon other people aren't happy with themselves when they're just looking at stuff and getting annoyed. You're like, oh man, that person's an idiot. I don't want to. I want to put a pause on that. I don't want to be just scrolling through social media in the morning or whenever it is and getting annoyed. Is that almost like, let's start there with yourself and figure out why you're getting annoyed at things, or stop doing social media then if you're getting annoyed, or I don't know. Like, if you want to get deep, work on your what you're gravitating or you're attracted to. Sometimes it is drama. Are we? I don't know. I just got to be really careful, and I just want to stop. Things that people can't see are those things. And I reckon they're happening all the time, every morning. People aren't happy. They're a little bit, oh yeah, did you hear about, and it's a tough start to the day when you're starting like that. should we be treating that really seriously and go, I know no one can see what you did for the first 5 minutes, but you can, and you got annoyed, and let's deal with that.
Mate, I 100%, and I'm a bandit for it as well. I'm sure we all are. We all have rolled over and checked our phone and been stuck there for 10 minutes and then gone, that was a waste of time. It's like waking up and just having a thick shake or something and a Coke and going for your brain and going, well, I don't know why I feel a bit trash after just waking up and just drinking a Coke and having a thick shake first thing in the morning.
Spot on.
You know?
I'm using that Coke thick shake. It's exactly what social media is in the morning.
It's a quick sort of buzzy, fast foody type situation, and I think it's really important that you don't develop your critical thinking skills on social media, because you just don't get that chance. So take the time to engage more deeply with things in general. Pay more attention to people. Spend more time with human beings now that we can. I'm a big reader. I know not everyone likes to read, but if you don't like to read, maybe listen to books. If you don't want to listen to books, maybe listen to podcasts where they tease out ideas for a little bit longer, and get used to going a bit deeper on things and then maybe look for the opposite opinion. If you can be bothered doing all that stuff, I think you end up with better tools to take in information and go, that's a bit trash, or that isn't, or someone's really thought about it, or someone's having an emotional reaction here. I'm empathetic to all of the kinds of reactions that people have, but that's not going to inform my opinion. I think that people's it's so shallow. It's a fast food, shallow engagement on social media, and that doesn't enrich your life in the way that depth does. And so look for that usually, and look for things that I often say to people, if something comes up and you go, oh, I really care about this, my challenge is just care in 6 weeks. Don't say anything today, care in 6 weeks.
Yep.
And see what happens. And like half the time people just have forgotten they're on the next outrage.
That's right.
6 weeks later.
Just weather the storm. Oh, totally. Just Be Nice project. We haven't really talked about it, but we get the drift what you're on about. Just Be Nice. What a thing. What a motto. What a thing. We learn it in the schoolyards.
It's a North Star. It's a North Star, mate. We get it wrong. We all get it wrong. We all have our moments, but at least you can audit your behaviour against it and go, was I nice today, or was that a bit rubbish, and should I have been better? And that's okay. It's okay to make those mistakes as long as you're paying attention. So I don't want everyone thinking I run around just 100% bubbly and awesome all the time. I have my moments like everybody else, but it's something that we aim for.
Was Chris Rock just being nice?
Oh, wow. That's a bit of a hot button topic at the moment, because on the one hand, you could say he was just doing his job, which has always been the roasting people at the Oscars. On the other hand, you say having a go at people who are suffering a condition is ableist and very upsetting to people who have medical conditions of any kind and are seen hypersensitive to those things because of the derogatory sort of comments that are thrown their way a lot. So I'm empathetic again to I can see that you can frame it in a few different ways, and I can see how that ends up with people screaming at each other on the internet about how everyone's stupid, So the question is, are we prepared to sit in a room with all the different thoughts and engage with them and assume good intent, and then sort of make our own decisions and not feel the need to have to make a decision necessarily straight away, but prepared to think about it long enough to be comfortable with our decisions when we make them.
I hope people in 3 years' time in their Facebook memories are not regretting what they've posted in the last 48 hours. That's all I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What was I doing? I agree with Chris Rock now. Far out. Just Be Nice project. How can people engage in you? Is this right across the board? Are you interested in speaking to any organisation? We've got my wife who's listening right now.
Yeah.
You got Support Act Music. You could be a multicultural space in the Pacifica community. You could be a local Christian school. Are you going to chat with anyone?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, everyone's got an opportunity. Everyone can do something. That's the thing. Everyone can do something. And I think a lot of people want to. So we just try and make that happen.
I'm going to put up the link in the chat, but the Just Be Nice project founder, Josh Reid Jones, joined us for a great dose of, this was not a coconut thick shake. This was
No, well, thanks, mate. I
beautiful.
appreciate it. I appreciate getting a minute to have a chat with you and your wonderful audience. So I hope everyone has a bloody wonderful day ahead.
Trying to think what food you are, though, because I haven't eaten. No, what are you?
I'm a steak, mate. Come on, I'm a big steak. Come on.
If you are, there's a reason why you buff. You have steak. It's steak in the morning, don't you? Steak.
I'm a big steak guy. I love it. Yeah.
Hey, I love you, brother. Thanks for coming on today, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Morena, everyone. Have a great day.